All right, and we are back to our series of videos on graphing quadratic equations in various forms. Today we're working, or in this video, we're working on vertex form. So usually, or we can just still do it. So we're going to find the y-intercept. And again, to find the y-intercept, we're just going to make x equals 0. So we're going to write y equals 0 plus 3 squared minus 7. So that's going to be 9 minus 7, which is equal to 2. So our y-intercept is 0, 2. Easy, right? Okay. So to find our x-intercepts, there are two different ways we can do this. The first one, remember, the x-intercept is where y equals 0. So I'm going to write 0 equals x plus 3 squared minus 7. So the first thing we can do, or one way we can do this if we don't remember the special trick, is we can just expand that x minus 3, subtract 7, and then either use quadratic formula or factor it to find the zeros. I did an example of that in the video with standard form using quadratic formula. So you can watch that if you want help with that. But vertex form has some really special properties. So one of them is here I can just add 7 to both sides. And I'm going to get 7 equals the quantity x plus 3 squared. So what makes quadratic expressions, functions, tricky to solve is that they have x's and x squareds in them. But right now, this only has a quantity squared. It doesn't have x's and x squareds in it at this moment, which means I can square root both sides of this equation. And I'm going to get plus or minus 7. Just kidding. Plus or minus the square root of 7 is equal to x plus 3. So what I did from here to here was I took the square root of both sides. Okay, and so again, that's a trick that only works because we only have one whole thing squared. If we had x squareds and x's like we did in standard form, this wouldn't work. And if you expanded this out, you also couldn't just take the square root of both sides because you would have x's and x squareds. All right, so now I'm going to solve this for x. I'm just going to subtract 3 on both sides. And I'm going to get x equals -3 plus or minus the square root of 7. So the square root of 7, let me see if I wrote it down. I didn't. The square root of 7, oh yeah, I did. Well, I just did these two things. So, hold on. Let me try that again. Okay, so the square root of 7 is about 2.65, 2.646. So I'm going to do -3 plus 2.646 and -3 minus 2.646, right? Just like I did with my quadratic formula. And this one is equal to -0.354. And this one is equal to -5.64. All right, so now we need to find the vertex. So, okay, so now those are points. So I need to find the vertex next, and you can find the vertex, just like always, by taking the average of those 2 points. However, you don't actually need to, because the vertex is just to find the x coordinate, or this should be the line of symmetry, axis of symmetry. Line of symmetry or axis of symmetry, they mean the same thing. So to find that, I'm just going to take that part in parentheses, x plus 3, and I'm going to make it equal 0. And then I'm going to solve that for x, and I'm going to get x equals -3, and that's my line of symmetry. That is easy easily the best thing about vertex form, except then to find the vertex, again, I could go through the steps of plugging that -3 into the original equation, but my vertex is just that same -3 and then the -7 from the problem before. Cool. So that's what makes vertex form so, so amazing. Okay, so now I'm ready to graph. So one of the things that I try to teach kids always, sorry, I'm looking for how far down I have to go. One of the things that I always try to teach kids is that things are either harder to get to and easier to read, or they're easy to get to and harder to read. So it's hard to create vertex form. You have to use completing the square. It doesn't always work super well. It's kind of a pain in the neck, honestly. But it makes everything really easy. Right? It was pretty easy to find our x-intercept. It was quite easy to find our y-intercept, and super easy to find our line of symmetry and vertex. And so because it makes the finding the points really easy, it tells you getting it into that form is going to be more challenging. I just feel like there's always a payoff. All right, so x equals 3 is my line of symmetry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I'll put out here. My y-intercept is 2, right there. My x-intercepts are -5.64, which is going to be here, and -0.354, which is going to be like right there. Oh, this is going to flip over to the other side. So this distance is 3, so I want to go 3 over here. So there's the reflection of my x-axis, and then I want to go down 7 here. And that is your parabola on that side. It's a pretty terrible graph, but I think you get the idea. Okay, so again, we found the y-intercept by making x equals 0. Let's do our highlighting. I forgot to do it this time. We find our y-intercept by making x equals 0. And we found our x-intercept by making y equals 0. Our vertex form for this is the opposite of that number, and then that number is what it is. Okay? So again, it just makes it a lot cleaner and easy to get to. Okay? That's it for vertex form, and that's my last video on graphing quadratic equations. I hope it was helpful. Thank you.